everyone. I'm here with Morgan Flores and Pat Moore. I'm Noelle He, and we're here with our first installment of Mighty Mondays. And today we're going to be talking about failure.
In the moment of failure, what is something that helps you be present for the next pitch? How are you able to move on to the next at-bat or the next pitch as a pitcher and be in the moment?
For me, I would say something that helps me move from failure to the next pitch would be finding a focal point. So like either a pole in the outfield or one of your outfielders that you know is always going to be there. It can help you like reset your mind. And if you really can't get back to the next pitch, I'd say like having something like to go to like reset everything. So like I'll take my glove off and like take a few deep breaths. So just having something to reset your whole being and like be ready for the next pitch.
Yeah, along with that, like I have a focal point when I hit too, but breathing and really grounding yourself in the present moment and letting go of whatever happened before, whether it was, something that was productive or unproductive, like that pitch is gone and it's on to the next. Failure is something inevitable, especially in softball. And you just kind of have to remember that if you never failed, you wouldn't be challenging yourself. Like you're not going out of your comfort zone enough to get to the point where you can grow.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. Like I always pick a focal point like on the field. Like during warm-ups, I'll pick a focal point in the outfield, like, and I'll look at it between every single pitch in my at bat. Even like when I'm catching, I'll look at it, and like P said, it always like gives me like a reset in my mind, whether it was a good or bad play that happens. And it helps me not to get like too high or too low within the game, because if you ride like the roller coaster of the game, like you're basing like everything off of your emotions instead of just staying like level-headed of like anything that happens. So that's something that like really helps me like in the moment, that I would say like helps me move to the next pitch.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like understanding that you can't change it, like it, and that it's something that it just exists, and like it's more about how are you going to react, how are you going to respond.
I think also like recognizing it, like knowing when, especially like I would say for pitching, like knowing like when you're like starting to spiral out of control, like realizing like, okay, I missed my spot, but how am I gonna like get to the next thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say another thing for me is like one of my flaws is like giving the other person I'm up against like too much credit. And like I think I don't really take some situations like realistically of like, okay, like she's in the same spot as me, like we're both like trying to battle this out, like nobody has like a one up on us, I guess, is like something that I like need to always remind myself that like I worked hard, I deserve to be here as much as like the other person deserves to be here. And like something that also helps me is like reminding myself that like I've put in this work to be here. And so that also comes with like confidence of like, you have to have confidence in yourself to be able to go up there and know like that you can do it. So that's like another big thing.
I also think like looking to your teammates when you're like feeling like you're not in control, or you're feeling like you're having like a lot of failure, especially during the game or even during practice, like looking to your teammates and like, you know that you're not the only one experiencing that, but your teammates have gone through it too. So like they're gonna know, and they can probably tell when you're struggling, so like they can help you too. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah. And that like comes along with like building relationships like with your teammates, like, and being intentional about that, because like then they can know like when you are like struggling, how they can help you and in like what ways that they can help you. And that's a huge thing also.
I'm curious, how do you guys feel about the word failure? Because I feel like my understanding of like what failure is has really evolved from like when I was young, and it was like, oh my gosh, if I didn't go 8 for 10, like I'm a failure, that kind of thing. but I'm just curious, how has the word failure kind of evolved your understanding of failure?
Yeah, you go.
Definitely evolved because like the same way you said it, like when I was younger, like failure was like such a big thing, and now it's just like it happens like all the time because everyone is at the top level. Like it's hard and it's like a grind, but like failures are like learning experiences, I guess.
Yeah. I would say too, like going off what Pa said, we're on like the biggest stage of softball in like the whole world, I would say. And with that, obviously, like you're gonna fail more than you succeed. And so if you look at it as like a failure instead of a growing opportunity, like it's gonna be really hard for you because it's a game of failure. Like softball is a game of failure. So learning to like look at it as a growing experience and like the next time making a change, I think that's something that's key in our game. But
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you guys, and I feel like you guys had a lot of good insights, and like that failure is an opportunity to learn and grow from what you've done, and it's really about like finding your way. I came across this quote from Thomas Edison when he was trying to invent the light bulb. He said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that it won't work." And like when you think about that, failure doesn't seem so scary, and it doesn't seem so like all encompassing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's a great quote. That's a great quote, Noelle.
That was actually good.
Yeah, but that's like so true because like failure is like what you make of it, you know? Like if you just fail and you never learn from it, like you're never gonna go anywhere.
Is there preparation that goes into games?
Something that I do is I love to watch a video on the opposing pitcher, like if it's available, and I'll just study the pitcher and her tendencies, what pitches she goes to in certain counts. And that really helps me just to like mentally prepare and know that like I've not only put in the work physically, but I've done like my homework on the other teams. And that's something that I'll do before every game. And I always read some pages out of Ken Reviz's book, Heads Up Baseball. And that's a really good book. You guys should read it. That's something I literally read before every single game, and it gets me like in the right mindset to compete at my best. So that's something that I do. What about you, now?
I didn't know you did that, actually. That's really cool. But I feel like once I get to the field and we start warming up for BP, it's really easy to like get in your head that like, oh, this doesn't feel good, or like I feel off. But ultimately, like what I've learned that I have to do is just accept warm-ups as they are, because nothing changed overnight. Like all the work that we've been putting in going into that day, it's all still there. So more than anything, it's in your head. And for me, I really need to make sure that I'm breathing, finding my focal point, and that I'm just ready to be as present as possible, like not changing things, not trying to fix something that feels off, because once you get to the game, it's game time, and you just got to go with what you got and give 100% of whatever that is.
That's something also that I struggle with is like MVP, if like I'm not, you know, like if I'm not like
Yes.
line drives every single time, or like getting like putting good contact on the ball, like I'll be like, oh my God. Like sometimes I'll like get in my head of like, you know, like
it's gonna be a bad day. It's gonna be a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're so right. Like you put in the work, and nothing changes overnight. Like, and every single person that enters the game, like probably is not at 100% either. So it's like how can you compete in your at-bats with what you have to win the battle? So
yeah. How about for pitching, Pat?
Yeah, my game, like right before the game, I'll for sure find like a focal point, and then just like being confident with what you have. And I guess like we'll like go over hitters, nothing like too crazy. Like we all have like different things that we like to know about them, or just like what to know or like what to throw. And then also I started reading out of Ken Business book 2 at the beginning of this season, and it really helped me. So I'll sometimes like read through my notes before, like in the morning, or just like during the weekend, like on the bus or something. And it just like is stuff that like reminds me like what I need to do and like how I need to get ready to like compete every pitch. So that's something that I started doing. Coach Tar introduced me to that book, and I have really liked it too. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about like for the World Series? Since we like all experienced that, like, do you guys like how do you perform at like the biggest platform in college softball?
Man, I think you have to start with remembering that it's still just softball. Like, it's the game we've been playing for years, and it's a game we love. Like, the rules didn't change. Of course, everyone there is good, but, you know, the entire season, everyone's good. Every practice you go to, everyone on your team's good. So I think the challenge for the Women's College World Series is not playing up to the situation. It's sticking to, for us, playing Husky softball, and that's like respecting the game, playing how we know we play, being absorbed in the process, and like not getting caught up in the hype, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our last question we're gonna go over is, if you could go back in time to talk to your high school you, what would you want her to know in terms of the mental game, and I guess more specifically, like how to deal with failure? What would you want her to know?
Great question.
I mean, I feel like it could be something as simple as, like, the game doesn't define you. You're how good or how not so great the day goes, how you play, if your team wins or loses, like that doesn't define you as a person. You may play softball, but you are not only a softball player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I wish that I knew was like, I wish that I would have learned how to like breathe and like control my breathing during the game. Because like when I came in to school, like I was like a hot mess, and like I could never control my breathing. Like I would be like hyperventilating. So like, and I finally like learned that like to get in a rhythm, just like literally you have to breathe. So I wish I would have like known how to do that like earlier on, and I think that would have helped me so much. Like even like in travel ball and like everything.
I would hold my breath when I hit, like
Dude,
every single swing, hold my breath.
I would like pass out because I wouldn't be able to breathe. But yeah, so breathing, I wish I would have like learned how to do that, or like had someone teach me like you need to be on like a rhythm, or like having a routine of like breathing and doing all your stuff. So
Yeah. I feel like same, because before college I didn't even realize how important like working on the mental side was. Like I would think that taking 1,000 swings off the tee and then going into the game, like I would be fine. But like that's so untrue, because the game is like, I feel like it's like 80% mental, 90% mental. It's like how you think about yourself, and like having confidence is so important. And I wish that was something that I would have worked on more before college, and that would have helped me a lot. Like that would have helped me transition easier into college. Thanks everyone for tuning in to our first week of Mighty Monday. We hope to see you guys next week for our second episode. Go Dogs!
Go Dogs!